What is up, guys? So the DC Universe streaming service is debuting its third season of original content. There was Titan Season 1 and then Young Justice Outsiders, although just the first half, but now it's debuting Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol is a spin-off show from Titans. There was one episode, episode 4, that was mainly focused around setting up this show, all the same characters and most of the same actors, because there was one character that was recast for the show, and I will go over that character as well, but all those characters will be returning for this show. It's set in the same universe as Titans, but in this video I will go over every single character that has been confirmed for the first season of Doom Patrol. Now there are going to be characters who are going to appear that are either not significant enough to be announced or are just being kept secret, so that when they do appear it is a surprise. That is definitely possible, but every character that has been announced, every character that has been confirmed, I will go over them. I'll go over who they are in the comics, who's playing them in the show, and what they're going to do on the show from the best of my knowledge. So first of all, I'll go over each member of the Doom Patrol individually, and the characters that already appeared on Titans are, first of all, Elasti-Woman, aka Rita Farr, being played by April Bowlby, who also played her on Titans. Now, she is a former actress who was in an accident where she was exposed to a toxic gas, and this gave her the ability to stretch her arms and her limbs and everything, basically the exact same abilities as Plastic Man, Elongated Man, and Mr. Terrific, although when we saw her in Titans, it didn't seem like she had full control over those abilities at all. But in this first season, I'm guessing that will be a huge plot point where she learns to control those abilities. Next up is Clifford Steele, aka Robot Man, who's being voiced by Brendan Fraser, and he will also play him in flashbacks that will be going on in this season, although he's actually, when he walks around, he's being played by Riley Shanahan, but his voice and his whatever he looks like in the past is Brendan Fraser. Now, this is a guy who was a former race car driver, who we will see as a race car driver in those flashbacks, who was in an accident during one of those races, and once his body was destroyed, his brain was transplanted into a robotic body. Now, his abilities are not really what you would expect from a robot. He doesn't really have, like, blasts or things like that, or he can't really connect to computers. He's just a metal man, and that obviously gives him advantages in a fight. But Robot Man, a big part of his character, is struggling with not really being a human being anymore, but being a robot and not really being able to do the things that normal human beings, or human beings in general, can do. Next up is Larry Trainor, aka Negative Man, being played or voiced by Matt Bomer, who will also be playing him in flashbacks, while Matthew Zuck will be physically playing Negative Man, because just like Robot Man, we will never be seeing his face while in the present day. He is always wrapped up in bandages. Now, he is a pilot who was in an accident and crashed into negative energy, which gave him the ability to create a being of pure radiation, and his consciousness is also residing in that being. Now, he can only do this for 60 seconds, so he's obviously very, very limited by his powers, but in terms of his abilities, they're obviously the most unique and most interesting, in my opinion, out of all of the members of the Doom Patrol, so that's something I definitely am excited to see in this season, but I'm guessing because of a small budget, we probably won't see it as often as we should. But next up is the Chief, aka Dr. Niles Calder, being played by Timothy Dalton. This character is the final character in this video who appeared in Titans, as well as every other character did not, but on Titans he was played by Bruno Bicker, while here he's being played by Timothy Dalton. The reason for that is probably because he sucked on Titans and they wanted to recast him. That's just my opinion. They didn't really announce why they recast him, but they did. It might have just been because of scheduling reasons. I do not know, but I'm glad they did, because the guy in Titans was just really bad. But Dr. Niles Calder, aka the Chief, is the leader of the Doom Patrol, and he is a doctor who specializes in finding people like Rita Farr, people like Clifford Steele, people like Larry Trainor, as well as Gar Logan, as well as a couple other characters that I will go over in this video, and people who are on the edge of death, but he tries to fix them in ways that are not really ethical, or in ways that go beyond modern day medicine and what most doctors are willing to do in order to save these people's lives. And he did. He saved Rita Farr's life, he saved Clifford Steele's life, he saved Larry Trainor's life, and he saved Gar Logan's life, but also he gave them abilities and disabilities, if you want to call them that kind of made it so that they can't really live in normal society after this point, and I'm guessing that that's also going to be a huge plot point in this season as well as in this show. In this season, the Doom Patrol will be getting a couple new members. One of them is Kay Callis, aka Crazy Jane, being played by Diane Guerrera. Now, she is described as a member of the Doom Patrol with 64 different personalities, hence the name Crazy Jane, and each one has a different superpower, which is a very interesting concept, in my opinion, if not a little too ambitious. I mean, 64 different personalities will maybe make it hard for the audience to connect with her as a character. That being said, that's the amount of distinct personality she has in the comics as well, so it is definitely comic book accurate. We will see how that will translate to the show. Either way, it is a very interesting thing. Now, it's not completely original for live action. They've done it before, like very recently, in a movie called Split, where a guy has a bunch of different personalities, and each one has their own distinct superpowers or abilities. Now, Crazy Jane is the exact same thing, with a lot more personalities and probably more actually magical or actually superpowered powers, and I am pretty excited to see how that turns out. But the other new recruit for this team is a very, very significant character, by far the most significant character, the most prominent member of the DC Universe to be appearing in this show, and that is Victor Stone, aka Cyborg, being played by Joy Van Wade. And you probably already know Cyborg's origin story. I mean, it was literally just told in Young Justice Outsiders, but in short, he is a teenager who is in high school, who plays for his high school football team and is really, really good at it, but his father, a scientist named Silas Stone, who will be appearing in this season as well, never really makes time for his son's games. Vic gets very angry at his father for this and confronts him in his lab, and that leads to him getting into an accident that destroys half of his body. Now, Silas Stone either repairs him with his own knowledge about things, or he uses a mother/father box, whichever continuity you ask, and that repairs Cyborg, but it makes half of him cybernetic. Now, that will be probably the exact same origin story we will be seeing in this season. He will definitely be a football player, because there is a poster where you see him wearing football gear, and we know that his father is appearing as well, but it might be the case that he is repaired at least partially by the Chief. I'm not sure about that, but that is possible. But he is joining the Doom Patrol here, despite the fact that he has never been a member of the Doom Patrol in the past, because of the main theme of this team, from what we've seen in Titans, which they are outcasts and they can't really enter society, much like Cyborg, who was a normal teenager and he was a very popular football player, but now he is a cyborg who can never re-enter society, and that is they're definitely gonna deal with that with the Doom Patrol. Now, me personally, I would have preferred if he was just on Titans, the season 1 or 2, it doesn't really matter, but being on the Doom Patrol is a little weird when Titans is literally just right there. Every character I just mentioned is a main character in the season except for Silas Stone, but there is one more main character, the only main character who is not a member of the Doom Patrol, and that is Eric Morden, aka Mr. Nobody, being played by Alan Tudyk. He will probably be the main villain of the season, and he's described as a living shadow able to drain the sanity of others after being experimented on by ex-Nazis in post-war Paraguay. So those are all the main characters in this season, but what about the recurring characters? Well, there is John Bowers being played by Kyle Clements, but John Bowers is not a character from the comics, so I honestly have no idea who this character is going to be and what his role in this season is going to be. But then there's also whose actress is currently TBA, but considering her name is Trainer, I'm going to guess she's definitely related to Larry Trainer. She's not a character from the comics, so that means she could either be his sister, his mother, or his wife. Definitely going to be one of those three, probably his wife from before he was in that accident once he was still a pilot. But then there's also Von Fuchs, whose actor is 2BA. This is not a character from the comics either, and he doesn't really have any relation to anybody on the main cast, so I have no idea who this is. But then there's also Silas Stone, who his actor is also TBA. Obviously, he is the father of Vic Stone, aka Cyborg, and he will probably be partially responsible for turning him into Cyborg. But then there's also a character named Willoughby Kipling, whose actor is to be announced. Willoughby Kipling in the comics is basically just like John Constantine with the exact same personality, exact same backstory, and exact same powers. Now the reason for that is because in the comics he was supposed to be John Constantine, but for whatever reason, the story he was in, the people behind Vertigo and DC Comics did not allow the writer to use John Constantine, so he just created a new character with the exact same personality, powers, and he dresses exactly the same as well, named Willoughby Kipling. So I'm guessing in this show he will definitely be very, very like John Constantine in the Arrowverse. But there's also a character named Steve, whose actor is obviously to be announced. But Steve in the comics, there is a member of the Doom Patrol named Steve who might be this character. Now keep in mind, Steve is a pretty common name, so it could be literally be anybody else. But it is probably Steve Dayton, aka Mentos, a member of the Doom Patrol, as well as the husband of Elastigirl/Woman, aka Rita Farr. His abilities are basically mind control. He has a helmet called the Mentos helmet, which gives him flight, intangibility, mind control, telekinesis, as well as telepathy. Now, whether or not this is Mentos is unconfirmed, but I'm going to guess it is, and he probably will either join the team or be a former member of the team that either re-entered society or died or something along those lines. But then there's a character named Danny the Street, which is one of the weirdest characters in the DC universe. He is a sentient street who can go from city to city, not really changing anything about that street in that city, but his consciousness goes from street to street. But he is actually a street, and he has the power to make the citizens of that city very, very happy. That's Danny the Street, and he will be appearing in this season. It's not going to be a very expensive character to produce. It's literally just a street with a voice. That is it. So there will be shots where they just show a street, and then we will be hearing a voice. It's going to be super, super weird, but that's something that's going to happen in this season. But then there is a character named Darren Jones, who is being played by John Brittle, and in the comics, Darren Jones is a villain, a member of a group called Men from Nowhere, Nowhere being an acronym. I have no idea who these people are, but he is probably going to be a villain here. He has a connection to the Doom Patrol as well as Danny the Street. He attempted to kill Danny the Street at one point. I don't know how you do that, but I guess he figured it out. But I'm guessing he's going to be an antagonist in this season as well. There's also a character named Rhea Jones being played by Lessa Wilson, a member of the Doom Patrol and superhero named Lodestone, who has the ability to control the electromagnetic spectrum, and that gives her superhuman strength, durability, and agility somehow, and she's able to create magnetic constructs. It's pretty vague about what her powers are, but she will be appearing in the season, whether it's as Lodestone or just as Rhea Jones. We will find out. I'm not sure she will ever become Lodestone, but we will see. But anyway, that is every single character who has been confirmed for the first season of Doom Patrol. Let me know in the comments down below which one of these characters you're most excited to see in this season. And if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for watching.